It's that time again. It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wacky. It might even get a little zany. We're going to talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about.
Oh, 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 oh. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from King Berkey, Christmas Berkey, at the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show. We're welcoming you on this special holiday edition live from YouTube and Facebook and other remote places like the North Pole. Today we welcome Sir Badger, the court jester. Welcome, Badger.
Howdy ho. Hello, lovey.
Look at my little helper, my little elf. He always makes me laugh.
He does he? Oh, how do I do that? How do I do that? I don't know how I do that.
It's always amusing when we see you.
Oh, right.
I notice you have an interesting black beard under your chin.
Oh, that's the headphones because they won't fit underneath the hat. So I might have to take the hat off because the headphones might fall off. So, but anyway, how are you, sire, on this festive of seasons? Looking very Kurt Russell-y.
Yes, I think I've been wondering about asking him if he perspired underneath his outfit.
Oh, he probably did.
Because I know I am well layered and I'm naturally insulated anyway.
Yeah. It's all that love that permeates.
Yes, it's that time of year again, the season of giving.
It is that season of giving and that season of clearing out your clutter as well. Hence, this episode is called The Culling. We should have called it The Christmas Culling.
We should have, yes. It would have been apropos.
Yeah, whatever that means.
It's a North Pole Scandinavian word.
Is it?
No.
Oh. I thought you were blinding me with your genius there. Make me look really intelligent. So anyway, hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Board Game Babble, episode 89, where we are going to quickly have a talk and a roundup of what has been going on in Babblot before going into our rumor section, the things that makes the king go, Mm-hmm. And then we're going to shift shimmily into our very, very, very important section, the good, the not so bad, and the ugly, our first impression segment, before finishing on our Babble topic. But I keep doing this every time. Babble topic about culling the games collection. It's all fun and games here. And so hopefully you'll enjoy it yourself as much as we are right now. So what have you been up to, my royal festive Santa lookalike?
Well, it's that time of year, and so we have lots of family festivities. You know, of course, we're super busy at Game Toppers Central, where all the elves are putting together as many packages as possible before Christmas. It is super busy, let's just put it that way. But I have all kinds of aspirations to smoke all kinds of meats. And so the summer sausage and the bratwurst and the German sausage will be happening. And so we're preparing for that. And then many family festivities, of course. And we're going to be doing some fun gift giving as Mr. Klaus here is going to make a tour of Fergus Falls and run around and find some people in need and find some fun things to help people with this time of season. So I've been gearing up for that, and I'm actually really super excited about it. So that's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun time, just going out and helping people and being dressed like that.
Well, my daughters, yes, many of you know, Hannah and Maddie, when we had board game theater, they made these elaborate costumes, the Sheriff of Nottingham and the Good King of Royals and so many others that they made. But we saw the Christmas Chronicles movies, of course, with Kurt Russell. And they said, Dad, you should do that costume. And I said, okay. And this last year when we ran the Kickstarter, I just decided to let my beard grow out. And so this is a full year's worth of growth. And it put me right in the mood. I think I can pull this off. And so they made this amazing costume. And I actually have more of a costume with red sleeves, the full pants and the whole thing. And it's super fun. Yesterday, we have a Kawasaki Mule side-by-side four-wheeler, and we live out in the country. We have 11 acres, but we have about 15 neighbors, and they all live within this area of about 150 acres. And so my wife makes up Christmas candies and breads and stuff like that. And so she dressed up in her Mrs. Claus outfit, and I dressed up in mine. And we took off in the Kawasaki Mule. It's white, so it looks kind of like a sleigh. And we had all the gift bags. And so we're running to all the neighbors and handing out gifts. And we had a couple really fun encounters. And I mean, who does that? We do that. That's just fun.
That's fantastic.
So anyway, that's what we've been up to. Lots to do.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was doing the same, but our Christmas preparation is just making sure the presents are wrapped and hidden from the little one. So yeah, we've been prepping and trying to organize Christmas because, you know, it's another hard year for a lot of people. I'm not saying that it's hard for us. We're kind of lucky we can get people together. But unfortunately, not every member of the family will be able to come due to restrictions and due to viruses and things like that. But anyway, that won't perturb us from having a good time. And I've been also for about a month contemplating the Skyrim Kickstarter, which was on GameFound. It's now finished. I should have spoke about this on our last show. A big fan of Skyrim. In fact, my daughter is as well. We both started playing it again because it's like the 10th anniversary of the video game.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So
it's that long already.
It's that long already, but they've updated the PlayStation 4 edition. So you have a survival mode, which makes the game a little bit harder. And obviously they brought out the board game as well, which was crowdfunded and did pretty well. But I was contemplating it for a while, thinking, is this a game for me or not? And I'm thinking, no. No, I'll stick to the video game. The video game does it all and captures it all. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to, as well as tapping on the old ivories over here and creating sounds for Dungeons and Dragons still. So
all kinds of music. Yeah.
So let's have a shout out to the people in the castle. We have Kabuki Kid, who is joining us. Yay!
Woohoo!
And we also have Soul Rays. Hello, Soul Rays.
Soul Rays MH.
Yes.
A red topper hat. Yeah, that would have been a nice touch.
Yeah, it would have been a nice touch. So that's what we've been up to.
Well, we're going to move right along because we got a lot of stuff we want to talk about in the podcast today. Oh, look at this. Our good friend Rob McBride from Scyther Gaming is in the kingdom.
Merry Christmas.
Woo-hoo. Merry Christmas, Rob. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you guys celebrate. We're just so excited about this episode and this particular announcement. It kind of came up at the last minute, but we have some wonderful friends in the hobby, and we decided we were going to do a Christmas giveaway. And with that, we have a quick promo for...
Ho, 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 and now it's time for Berkey Badger's Christmas giveaway.
I love the jingling bells and the jingle bell rock. I love that too. I don't know where I misplaced my Jingle Bell Rock, but it's somewhere.
Hello, Dawn.
Oh, and Don is here. He's in class and still playing. Way to go. Well, so to explain the Christmas giveaway, this is actually, we're going to make it simple. All that you need to do is email Burky, Burky, at GameToppersLLC.com. That's Burky at GameToppersLLC.com. And this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to put your name by emailing us with your name, your address, and what you like about the Berkey and Badger show, because honestly, we need a lot of encouragement right now, okay? Well, Barry needs some encouragement right now. So you tell you tell us what you like about the show. It's 89 episodes. I don't know. How long we've been doing this? Like 3 years now?
4 years, something like that. Yeah. A long time.
A long time. 89 episodes worth anyway. But you tell us that, and then your name will go into Santa's hat. And we've got a bunch of games that after December 31st, we're going to draw, and we're going to mail these all out to you free of charge. Okay. So the audio podcast of this, which is on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, is going to be available. And so if you didn't make the show live, you can still get in on this thing. Just listen to the episode, find out the rules of how to enter this, which is as simple as emailing me, telling us what you like about the show, need your name and your shipping mailing address. So the games that we're giving away, this is cool. Our friends at Indie Boards and Cards gave me several different small stocking stuffer games. We've got Shogunate. We've got Finger Guns at High Noon. We have Conflicting Legends and Among Thieves. So these are four smaller type of, I'm not going to go into each one of these games, but smaller stocking stuffer games. And then from our friends at Arcane Wonders and our faithful, loyal sponsor, which they have so many awesome games anyway, we're giving you a brand new copy of Volcanic Isle. Volcanic Isle. Super fun little game. Played this at Origins a couple years ago. And then the Richard Launius game, Dragon Scales. Oh, yeah, baby. All this new art, really something. And their hit game that has really gotten a lot of publicity is Four Gardens. Look at that bad boy. And look at building up this pagoda. Super cool. So we've got those for games. And in addition to that, Game Toppers is giving you a $100 gift certificate towards anything on the Game Toppers Shopify store. That's at shop.gametoppersllc.com. You'll be able to use this $100 gift certificate towards anything you like. There's a lot of stuff you can buy with the $100, but you can place it towards a purchase of a topper or any other accessory, whatever you would like. And so simply email us at Berkey@GameToppersLLC.com, and you will be entered to win all of these different prizes. And we're going to give up all of these. So there's 8 different chances to win. And being we only have 8 listeners, you'll probably win something.
Kabuki's asking, should we put contest in the subject line?
And if you could put the word contest in the subject line, that would be fantastic.
She's a mind reader.
Well, she's a mind reader. No, and she's very smart. And we need her to come on alongside the show and administrate this mess.
It would be good if she could change the camera angles. It saves me having to do it, so I don't have to keep doing this.
I like it.
Woo.
It's making me a little nauseous, but yeah, I like it.
Anyway, that's all. Thanks to those publishers for sending us those games, and good luck. As you see, I'll leave this scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and then we'll come back to this as well and announce it a bit later on, so people know.
Perfect.
Yes,
we will announce it again at the end of the show. And so with that, We just want to thank our sponsor, Arcane Wonders. They've been such a great blessing to us over the years with so many of their games that they've produced for I mean, just top-notch quality games. And they have tons of games right now that are available on their shop at significantly discounted prices. You can go to arcanewonders.com. Picture Perfect is taking the world by storm, and Furnace. Of course, Smartphone Inc. and Oceanus. These games are blowing out, and of course, a lot of their older titles that you can get as well. So check them out at arcanewonders.com. And with that, we're going to move into the news segment.
News. This is the Board Game News, where King Berkey reflects on some of the current things happening in the board game industry. Some may be good, some may be bad, but they're all things that made our king go, boom. And just like that.
The music is still bopping around in my head.
Once you bop, you can't stop.
One bop till you drop.
So
we're going to talk about things that make the king go, And the thing that made the king go, was Barry put something in the show notes that I don't even know what it's talking about. So I went, Barry, you figure out and tell everybody what you're thinking.
Okay. So, yes, this week an announcement was put on Tric Trac. Now, Tric Trac is like Board Game Geek, but in France. And obviously, it's been running almost as long as Board Game Geek. And every year they do their award ceremony. And their awards are done, again, very much like Board Game Geek does, where they make a list of all the games from the year. And then they ask all the people that use their site to vote for them. And then eventually these games are then narrowed down into a smaller category. So basically they start as 5 categories, 5 groups of games. And then the top 3 of each of those 5 groups get put into this final selection of games. And then this final selection of games gets reordered by the public again. And then it finally comes out to the top games that everyone is talking about. So I thought this might be interesting for maybe the Americans and other people. What's very popular in France? What the best game that the French people are talking about in at the moment? So let's do a screen share over here. So Tric Trac. Yeah. So they narrow their top 10 down. So there's Nouvelle Contrée. I don't know what that is in English. There's Sobek, which is a 2-player game by Bruno Catala. And then also making the short list is King's Dilemma from Horrible Guild, Happy City, which I don't know who's by, family. Then there's Glow, which I spoke about last episode, and Ikai. But anyway, the Tric Trac Choco Award, so the 4th prize went to the 7th Wonders Architects, whereas the bronze went to a game that I spoke about last on the last podcast, Codex Naturalis from Bombayx. The silver Tric Trac Award went to the Ruins of Arnak.
Lost Ruins of Arnak. Great game.
Le Ruine Perdue de Narak. That's weird. Why did they change that? And the gold, the or, went to June Imperium. Very interesting, I found.
Love that choice.
Yeah, because I've been hearing so much about June and Lost Ruins of Arnak being like the same kind of game. And there you go. June pipped Lost Ruins of Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak got 2,903 points, whereas June got 3,355 points. Very close.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I had the opportunity. They were those 2 games, Lost Ruins of Arnak and Dune Imperium, were my 2 most anticipated games of last year we did a show on that and we talked about that. And I finally got them and we were able to play them. And I really liked Lost Ruins of Arnak. Maddie played it with us with our good friend Kelly Hughes, who's helped me at a lot of the shows with Game Toppers in the summer. He's a professor at a college. And we got to play that. Maddie loved that game and wants to play that again. And I know there's a new expansion now. I thought it was good. I liked it. But it was a little harder for me to catch on to for some reason. And I was expecting more deck building because it was kind of labeled as such. And then we played Dune Imperium. And I was like, oh, this game has almost everything I love about games. I mean, I just love the worker placement in that. I like the deck building. I like the abilities. I just thought it was a super fun game. And I like the theme a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kabuki was saying, also Ruins of Arnak and Dune are very similar mechanisms, but quite different games, actually. But,
and our good friend Rick Otloff is here.
Hey, Rick. Woo!
Jesse told me to specifically mispronounce your name, just so you know.
Otloff.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Offlaffen. Yeah, well, that's awesome. So that's kind of like the equivalency of Board Game Geek for you French folks. Is that right?
That is correct.
Is it big all throughout Europe?
What?
Tric Trac.
Tric Trac. No, it's a French-speaking, basically website. It was branching into English. I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago, Jamie Johnson, before he formed Holy Grail, he was actually working for Tric Trac, and so he was doing reviews and videos in English and in French because he's very fluent in both. So they were branching out into the English market, and then Tric Trac got bought out by Asmodee. So
that explains it.
Now owns Tric Trac. They try to be kind of nice to everyone, but they do promote a lot of their games. But as someone that doesn't use Tric Trac a lot, I'm a board game geeker, and as I say that, please help Board Game Geek get their support that they need for their end of year allowance, so to speak.
Yeah, you can actually donate and help Board Game Geek. And I got to tell you, Board Game Geek has done a lot for the hobby. Scott Alden and his team. I have a lot of respect for Scott. When our company was very young, Game Toppers, Scott purchased 30 Game Toppers from us for the Hot Games boardroom. And that meant so much to me, so much to us as a company starting off also, and allowing all those gamers to come in and play all the hot games from Essen every year on the Game Toppers was so cool. But he is noted for doing things like this and helping people in the community. He's got a very big heart, super generous. And this last year and a half have been incredibly challenging times. I spoke to him a while back, and they held the convention this year, but not holding those conventions, that takes a lot of revenue away from what they're able to do. They have a good sized staff, and they have a new facility that they had purchased here a couple of years ago too. And so highly recommend, if you've got a few extra bucks to drop in the kitty to help Board Game Geek out, go to boardgamegeek.com.
Yeah. Thank you. Free advertising, Scott. You don't have to pay us.
What? That's not what we agreed to.
Oh,
this is the season of giving. Give to me.
Yeah.
No, we love those guys. That was an impromptu shout out. So, and Ron is in the kingdom. Our good friend Ron Shady. And I love Ron. I love all you guys. But I just made me think when I saw his name a few years back when we did the Sheriff of Nottingham. Ron does amazing paintings, and he got a little miniature of the Sheriff of Nottingham and painted it for me. So our first player, Marty's got the full standee miniature. It's the coolest everything, and one of my most treasured painted items.
Oh, right. When you first started saying he's a painter, I was thinking, oh, he's done like a portrait, like what you do. Oh, you mean a miniature painter?
Miniature
Okay.
painter. Yes,
Okay,
clarify it better.
I was
So,
expecting. Yeah.
with
Go.
that, we're going to move on to all the fun games we've been playing in this segment. The good, the not so bad, and the ugly.
The good. The not so bad. Wait for it. And the ugly.
I just want to refer to the ugly picture there. That we're talking about the Eiffel Tower behind us, which is ugly.
Of course. Of course. The other people are very beautiful.
Yeah.
And upside down for some reason.
Oh, things always look better upside down.
See, people get a different experience when they're watching this show. They get a really polished pro edit from Sir Badger when it's on iTunes, so they can listen to the shenanigans, but it's nothing like seeing the shenanigans. Am I right?
No, it's not like seeing the shenanigans. And the
So you can't always catch this recorded on YouTube after the fact.
Yes, if you want to.
Yeah. And Peter, woohoo! My good friend Peter Vaughn was instrumental working on the Dwellings of Elderville game and now has his own company and is going great guns. Good to see you, buddy.
Cool. Live shenanigans.
So what have you been playing?
Okay, first off, let's talk about what is the good, the not so bad, and the ugly. It's our first impression segment where we talk about games that we've played for the first time, and we give you our kind of rating, which is it's a good game, which means that, we can't wait to play it again. It's not so bad, which is a game that we liked and we can take it or leave it if it ever comes across the table again. And then there's an ugly game, which is something that you've been really put off with by the first impression. Sometimes even an ugly game, which you're put off with, sometimes I will replay an ugly game just to double check to make sure that it was really ugly. But
it's bear schnickel ugly.
Yes, it's bear schnickel ugly. No, I was looking back and I was quite surprised about how many games I've played since last time. I've played a bucket load. I'm going to do a quick shout out. I've reviewed all these games already. So I've played Takenoko, Can't Stop, Defenders of the Realm, Star Realms, Clank, the Mummy Edition, Potion Explosion, King and Assassin, Dominoes. Yes, I played a game of Dominoes with my 4-year-old.
Wow. You slap them too, don't you?
I love tactile. Codenames, La Boca, which is coming back, Destinies, and Nut Job, which is La Boîte de Kodsu, which I've spoken to about many, many times. I played bucket loads of games.
Wow.
But new games. I'm going to start with The Lost Ruins of Arnak, because we've just been talking about it. And I am surprised about how good this game is, especially solo.
So you played the full solo.
Yeah, I played the solo. Scroll the wrong thing, why don't you? Yeah, I've played Lost Ruins of Arnak, but solo mainly. I have played a 4-player game as well. But basically, it says it's a deck building game, but there's not a lot of deck building in this game. There's a little bit of deck building, but there's a lot of resources and resource exchanges going on, basically, as you are sending a couple of teams out to explore an island and find locations which will help you find treasure, which will give you resources that you can use. And there's 5 different types of resources. There's gold, there's compasses, which help you explore. There's tablets, which help you use artifacts. There's these arrowheads, and then these red gems, which are like the most expensive things. And these are used in research as well as exploring and doing all kinds of things. I don't know why I would look at that for. But anyway, there's a the little deck building, you will be buying items or finding artifacts and buying them with compasses and coins. And as you do so, those cards will go into your hand, maybe on your next turn, or they go into your discard pile, depending if they're an item that you can use or if it's an artifact. And this game just explodes with the amount of free actions that you can do, plus an action per turn. With the 5 cards that you have in your hand, this game it blows my mind how interesting it is and how many decisions that you have to make. Playing a 4-player game, there's a lot of interaction, but it's mainly around the locations that you're discovering, and then obviously climbing up this temple track where you are sending your research and then making your notes on the research that you've made to get you points, but also get you bonuses. There's so much going on, and there's so many little intricate little powers that you can pick up from objects that you buy, which make this game infinitely replayable. As a solo mode, it works really well. You'll just basically turning over 10 tiles each turn for your opponent player, and then doing your actions in between them. So sometimes they will interfere when it sends a team of explorers into a location that you want to go to because you need resources that are there. But apart from that, it just flows really well. You can pick it up pretty quickly. I was very surprised after my first game. I was able to jump back into a second game and not have to look at the rules at all. I've fallen in love. This is one of those 10 out of 10 games for me. And so, as you can tell, this is a good game. This is not an ugly. This is a not so bad. This is a good game for me. I really fell in love.
Yeah, everybody, when we played it too, everybody really liked it. It took me a little while to go up that technology tracker, the technology, up on the right-hand side there. What do they call that?
The temple research thing, yeah.
The research track, yeah. So I see John Potorak, is that saying that right? I hope it is, has said, be sure to download the free solo content from CGE, and the Leaders expansion takes the game up a notch.
Yeah, I've seen the expansion, and I was sold automatically. And I'm always hesitant about downloading stuff, but I've heard that the download is a good thing to get.
Wow.
So
yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it again. I know I was just talking to Maddie today because she's making some alterations to my Santa Claus costume. And we were talking about games that we're going to take to the lodge. And she goes, remember that game we played? And she couldn't remember the name. And then I go, yeah, I remember that game. What was it? I always remember the experience, and I don't always remember all the details, but I remember the experience. And then I looked at my phone and all the pictures I took, and sure enough, that's what it was. It was Lost Ruins, and she really wanted to play it again. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So who's got the best costume, Berkey or me?
No.
That's the question you want to be asking. So what new game have you been playing, or have you been playing anything else?
We've actually been playing some more games than normal. Part of our game group started to be able to get back together. And one of my good friends, Barry Seidel, works outside of our community, and he now is working mostly from home, and he's back in Fergus Falls more. So our game group and then a few of the other people have been getting together. And then, of course, at Game Toppers, we every now and then, when we can fit it in, depending on the shipping schedule and what's going on, we're so busy, we haven't been able to do this as much as we would like, but we would do what are called Relevance Fridays. Because we're working so much in the business, it's like you get outside of the hobby sometimes, and it's like you're just grueling all the time rather than enjoying the hobby. And so I said, we need to be relevant with our hobby. We need to play some games and enjoy life a little bit. And so we would take off at like 2:00 on Friday afternoon, if it permitted. And then we would get together and play some games with our staff. And we started just one of these games trying to do legacy games for us is super hard.
Wow.
Because it's so hard to get a game group together to do them. And I've only played a few. We started a Seafall group, and we started that and did about 6 of those episodes. And it was like, yeah, we're done with this game.
All right.
Because everything I'm reading is it's not going to get better.
All right.
And while we had some fun naming some things, you know, I had my character and lost it right off the bat, you know, after that first beginner round, which anyway, I was irritated. So then we played another one called Aeon's End, actually, from Indie Boards and Cards. And we actually really liked that game. But we started a new legacy game. And this was one of the legacy games that kind of kicked it all off. It is Lisk. It's Lisk. It's Risk Legacy, not Lisk Legacy.
Not Listerine Legacy.
I love you, Rorge.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Happy Roo.
Yep. Nice. Hey, boo-boo. I say we go get a picnic basket. Hey.
Gee, Yogi.
Smarter than the average bear.
But Ranger Smith said no.
He's so good and quick. So Risk Legacy. Good grief. I have a list right now in my Lisp. So Risk Legacy, one of the beginning legacy type of games. Rob Davio, of course, is an expert designer, pandemic fame, of course. And this game here, when I was in high school, man, I played Risk like crazy. We played all hours of the night. I remember after I got married, we were painting the house before we were moving in. And I brought over 4 of my buddies, and we'd paint a room and we'd play a game of Risk. We'd go paint another room. We'd do a game of Risk. We did that all night long. I mean, that was the gig, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden we pulled this game out, and all of a sudden you're starting to add different scars on different countries that give either like defensive abilities or negative defensive abilities. You can blow up a country. You can rename countries. You can add cities. All of a sudden there's these different factions. And as you go forward in this game, different kind of factions get different kinds of abilities. And there's even aliens come into this game. Now,
yeah.
I'm gonna try not to do any spoiling, but we've played.
Too late.
I think maybe, yeah, I already spoiled it, didn't I? Wow. That was that. It's so interesting. I have a couple problems with the game personally.
No.
We're having fun, but the first problem is I'm playing with my son Josiah, who I used to be able to. I taught him Risk. I taught him Axis and Allies. I taught him all these games, and there's no gratitude anymore. It's just like, I'm going to whoop up on Dad, you know, and he knows how to do it. And as smart as I think I am, I'm not smart enough, you know, man. No, this kid is seriously so sharp. He sees these moves ahead of time, and he's brilliant at dice mitigation thinking. And not that there's a lot of that in this game, but he really knows how to take advantage of all the different abilities of each race, of each faction, if you will, and the different evolving things that are happening on the map, so that he can manipulate it to be his stronghold the next game, for instance. He's so smart. I won one game, Joseph won a game, and all the rest of the games Josiah has won. And I think the game that I won, I think he was a generous benefactor because I wasn't getting any nukes. And you need some missiles, man. So you can tell by all the different things going on, this is not your normal Risk game. The one thing that I thought was interesting about it that's different, normally you fill up the whole map and then you can place your reinforcements anywhere. Well, with this game, you're not doing that. You're starting somewhere and then you're sprawling. And there's a couple abilities that let you maybe change that a little bit, but overall, you are sprawling. So the concept of having multiple stronghold possibilities doesn't happen in this game like it does with regular Risk. And I found that hard to think through, because if you get in a bad situation at the beginning, it's hard to recover from it sometimes. That was my knock on the game. As far as Risk goes, I think it's a way better version of Risk, and it's super fun being able to explore and open up these new possibilities and name things and all of that. So I think I'm going to say this is a not so bad game. I'm not going to say it's a great game. I think it's, I could say it's good too, because it is better than most I played, but it's not probably the game that I get most excited about playing. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But I know a lot of people dearly love Risk Legacy.
Yeah. Yeah. An improvement on Risk, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see we got a lot of chat going on. Charity Board Gamers in the house too. Woohoo!
Yeah, you taught him too well.
Chris Godlet was just recently at PAX, and we weren't there because we were doing fulfillment, and he was kind enough to take some pictures of some of the Game Topper affiliates so we could share with the world people playing games on Game Toppers at PAX Unplugged, which was super kind of him.
Yeah, very cool. So my next game I got to play for the first time. It's a little bit daunting because it's in French, but it had to be done. I had to play Terraforming Mars, which is basically a card game. There is a board with Mars on it, and you're going to be adjusting that and putting water and cities and forests down to try and terraform it into a habitable planet by bringing up the temperature and by creating oxygen. But you're all doing this by just playing cards in your hand. And these cards are not easy to get because you're going to be drawing them from a deck every round and then deciding to keep them if you want to. But if you want to, you have to pay with them with currency. And you're not going to have a lot of currency at the beginning of the game. And maybe at the end of the game, you might have a lot of currency, but you might not at the same time. So yeah, each time you're playing cards, which are going to adjust your resources that you have or the production factories for the resources that you can generate every turn. And this is a very, very back and forth kind of game where there are certain things which will unlock extra money for you, like raising the temperature will unlock an extra coin per round, so to speak, or a million. It's millions, but it's one, basically. It's a unit that you then spend to play a card. And that's the other thing. You have to pay money to use the card. It's very, very intricate because there's like over 100 different cards in the game. There's no duplicates, and every card is slightly different. It may be kind of the same thing, but does a slightly different thing. Like it might give you an animal if you pay for it, but that animal can only come if the Mars is at minus 18 degrees, so to speak. And then there'll be another animal card which says that it needs to be at 22 degrees, but it might be cheaper. So yeah, this is a game which goes round and round and round until everything has been filled up, so to speak. So the temperature, the oxygen are the right levels for population. And that will trigger the end of the game and you do a final scoring. I found it interesting, but flawed, so to speak. It's a good game. It's a very, you need to play it a few times to have a gist of all the different types of cards that there are and try and give yourself kind of a structure of how you're going to play. Because I was totally lost. I had this faction which was going to give me bonuses for every time cities were built. And because I showed it to everyone, nobody built cities. So it was just me building cities so I could benefit from the power of the cities. But then everyone else was doing their own little thing, and there wasn't really much kind of diversity. There wasn't like a bit of someone doing a bit of oxygen, a bit of terraforming by putting water, a bit of everyone was doing their own little thing in their own little corner, so to speak. So yeah, I was doing cities and forests and waters and everything else, but there was one player that was just concentrating on temperature. There was one person that was concentrating on oxygen. There was another person that was concentrating on water. And it was like, yeah. And so nobody was really helping each other. But at the same time, everyone was trying to hinder the other players. Like one person would put the temperature up and another person would put it back down. And yeah, it was kind of yo-yoing. But it was an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. My son Josiah loves this game, but I thought it was interesting, the race to get some of those rewards at the bottom of the board there. What are they called again? There's like four of
the
them.
Milestones and the
the milestones. Yeah. And there's a little bit of a race to do that. So you're trying to get this engine building concept going. And like you say, sometimes it can combo really nicely. And depending on the play group, it can go a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I backed the Kickstarter with the big box edition where it's got all the little miniatures, and I got the Turmoil expansion. And I think I got the Ares expansion, is it?
Okay.
But I haven't played with any of those yet. In fact, I had them on my shelf, and I thought I've got a big insert that was made for everything, so that we've seen some comments in the that track on the bottom. Yeah. It's horrible. I mean, the things the little cubes are always falling off. So there's several people that have made these other inserts, so it's like a double layer board where they actually sit in there nicely. Yeah. And so I've got this really cool insert for everything, and at the time was a fairly expensive insert, but now I've got this great big box. And so I took it all down and put it in my room where I would assemble and think about that and put all the expansions together, but I haven't got around to it. But this box is this big honking box. I mean, this thing is like 13 by 13 by 13, and it's big enough to choke a mule.
Yeah, components wise, it doesn't live up to what the kind of game it could have been.
The original.
Yeah, it's the player board is just a thin piece of cardboard, and then as you said, the trackers just move everywhere because you're moving so much stuff all the time. The other thing which got me is the icons. This game could be 100% icons on the card. There could be no text whatsoever. Just a simple thing as some of the cards, as I said, that you can't play them unless the temperature is a certain temperature. It's above like 20 degrees or below 20 degrees. A simple arrow pointing up or down, because it's written on there 20 degrees on the card at the top, like on the border. But a little arrow saying it could be played 20 and up or 20 and down. But that would have been easy. You wouldn't have had to write it down. There were so many things that didn't need to be written down apart from flavored text, what this machine was or what this product was or what was going on. I was disappointed. As the charity board gamer said, Terraforming Mars was one I played and surprisingly didn't live up to the hype for me. And I totally agree. It didn't live up to the hype. It's not a bad game. There's a good game in there, but it's just hidden behind bad rules, because even the player that was reading the rules had trouble reading the rules. Bad components. It just needs a massive cleaning up, and hopefully that big box version you have will clean up a lot of the stuff. But
yeah, maybe this Christmas break, Josiah and I will get it out. I know he was super excited to try it now that we got all the expansions and everything. So we'll see how that all plays out.
And I've got a friend as well who's got himself a 3D printer, and he just printed out terrain for it just to pimp it up a bit, and he's printed out some special boards as well. He loves pimping his games. But,
Kabuki Kid made a comment that said they learned from Rado that he and his wife used that blue tack under the pieces with the game track so they don't get bumped and knocked around. That's kind of interesting. That probably could be used for a lot of different things.
Yeah, it can do. Blue tack is always useful until it becomes too old and then it rips as you pull it off the.
Yeah, right. Right.
How many posters have I removed from my bedroom walls, and all of a sudden the wallpaper's come off as well? Oh, childhood memories I have.
And Rob from Scyther Gaming, and I actually think Rob is an expert in this thought too, because his attention to detail with his game over battle, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But he said component quality matters and helps to transport the player into the game. And that was the big knock about this game, is people just were really appalled at the price and that for what they got in the game. They liked the game. A lot of people liked the mechanisms and even the theme, but it wasn't produced well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is a shame. The only other thing I would say would be good is to do drafting. We didn't do the drafting of the cards at the beginning of each round. We just drew 4 cards. That was a bit annoying as well. You draw 4 cards which were all the same, and they were objectives that you were not aiming for. So it was like, curse you.
Well, I've got another game that we've played, and I don't believe I might be wrong about this, but I don't believe that I've ever talked about it on the show. But this is a game I played before, and we just played 2 games of it last night. And if I did talk about it before, I'm sorry, but this
I don't recall.
Yeah, you don't recall it at all.
No.
I don't even recall it. So
I know you mentioned it, but I don't remember you doing it in a good, bad, no.
Once a long time ago, but I don't remember when we talked about it.
It's been on your shelf of shame that long.
Yeah, but I can't remember where I placed it. That's the problem. It's like my keys. So, but I put a GPS on it and have found it. So it's the game Space. Yes, John D. Clare and Alderatic Entertainment Group. AEG makes some of my favorite games. This game is you are actually got this little fleet of ships, and every person's going to roll dice, and you're going to be able to use a pair of the dice or use them individually and be able to take a few different things in this game. You can get your resources so that you can purchase upgrades to your fleet. When you purchase an upgrade to your fleet, you flip that card around and tuck it under the board. And then when somebody else rolls that number, like a 1 through 12, you're going to be able to take that benefit. You can also increase your energy so that when you buy a card, you always bring your gold all the way down to 0. But if you have energy that's built up, you get to put it back to that energy level, which helps you down the road. When you get more and more gold, you're able to buy victory points. You're able to buy 3 levels of upgrades to your fleet. There's level 1 cards, level 2 cards, and level 3 cards. What's so cool about this game is these cards, some of them, not only do they give you just gold or resources or victory points or energy, but they also give you special abilities. Like you can take a move from one of the ships on the right, or maybe you can energize one of these cards that gives you a special ability, like set one of your dice to any number that you want, for instance. Super cool, fun stuff. Sometimes you can switch ships around because you kind of want some ships down on the lower numbers, because if someone's rolling 2 dice, there's a good chance you're going to get a ship there. My last game that I played was really cool, that from 7 on up, I had really good ships. In fact, my number 11, I had really built a little engine, and this game is about engine building. And so I got this one card that I could energize, where I could turn 1 dice and I'd make it a 6. Well, then I know that I'm going to get a 7 through 12 based on what that next die roll is going to be. And all of them were super good. So that was super fun, the way that worked out, how you're trying to combo these things. There's one particular card that if you get 5 energies on this, I just lost the word, where you're energizing it.
Risk legacy?
Lisp List space.
Okay.
When you got 5 of them, you win the game. Well, there's some other cards that allow you to transfer these energy cubes over to this particular card. So there's some clever comboing effects, but it's hard to do because you're still rolling dice, right? I have the new Sky Pluto expansion that we have not played yet, but we played this game last night, and I just got to tell you, I love this game. I don't, I know people, it's kind of like Machi Koro, and there's a card, something Kingdom of Valeria. I'm all about this game. I love this game. It's easy to teach. It sets up fairly easily. There's some random to it, but there's so many things you can do, and everybody's engaged the entire time, but the game plays really quick. I mean, it's not like we played that game in an hour. It sometimes at the very beginning of the game, it takes a little longer to get going, but then all of a sudden it just ramps and everybody is going for the 40 victory points. There's a special draft mechanism where you can get 4 of the level 1 cards and 2 of the level 2 cards. Everybody gets those, and everybody starts at 15 gold. And then you can choose what you want to buy. Whoever has the most gold left over gets to be the start player, which can be an advantage for that first round of drafting, if you will. It has all those elements of games that I just love, and it's not crazy heavy, but there's tons of choices. So I wouldn't call it a lightweight game, but it's easy to teach and just a lot of fun. So excellent, in my opinion, good. Santa's Workshop seal of approval.
Boom. Very good. Machikoro. As you were explaining it, I was thinking Machikoro, and I was like, yeah.
I think a lot of people have compared it to that.
Yeah. It instantly sounds like that. You're rolling dice and then getting the results and adding them, looking at which card they correspond to the result and activating the power of that. So, yeah, that's one of my games on my culling list. Shall we move into our Babble topic?
Yes, let's do that. Babble.
And now it's time for the Babble, 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 Berkey and Badger's board game Babble.
Well, before we get into our Babble topic, we want to make a quick note just about our other sponsor, which happens to be the company I own, Game Toppers.
This video was made possible with the help of Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience with a Game Topper.
Yeah, Sorry, wrong one.
Well, no, that's great. It's always a little funny for me because it does feel a little self-serving, but at the same point, I love the fact that we've been able to develop a product that has upgraded so many people's gaming experience. I have people all the time say, Berkey, thank you so much. I didn't know that I would ever be able to have a high quality gaming table. And then as our company has evolved and our products have gotten better and better and more accessories, more of our 3mm thematic game mats from top board game artists, we have over 20 of these now. The new Pirate mat and the Viking mat and the Great Wall from Vincent Dutrait, our Cthulhu mat. I mean, all these beautiful, gorgeous, the Roman theme mat and the Scythe inspired resource mat, just gorgeous mats that people are just loving. We sell tons of mats, but our Game Toppers themselves that actually convert your home table into a high quality board game table. But now you can actually add leg kits and dining covers to the product. We delivered over our Wave 1 delivery. We delivered all of those units over a month early, which was really remarkable, especially given the way the time of year has been. However, Wave 2 started taking a little different effect because we've had some shortages in different things. We've delivered about 50% of Wave 2, By the end of the month, we will deliver probably another 25%. And most of all of the delivery should be done by the end of January, with the exception of the dining covers, which we're having some allocation supply problems with. But overall, we have a lot of product that you'll be able to get relatively quickly. Sadly, I can't promise Christmas delivery, but there's tons of stuff that is in stock that we can deliver right away. You can go to our shop.gametoppersllc.com for a lot of different game mats, accessories that are in stock that we've already fulfilled to backers, including some of the Oak Watson and Oak Holmes toppers that would be ready for immediate delivery. But you can still late pledge for all of the packages that we unlocked at the Kickstarter. So you can still get in on all this gaming goodness. We're only going to allow the late pledge manager through the end of the year, and then that's going to go away. And then we're going to be just doing fulfillment and then what we have in stock in our store at gametoppersllc.com. So with that, we're going to move right on into our Babble topic.
Boom.
So Barry and I were talking about culling our collections. And when we started talking about that, we had to talk about a lot of different thoughts. Barry, have you ever felt like that sometimes you're more of a game collector than you are actually a game player?
There was a time, yes, when I was reviewing games. I was kind of collecting games that I wanted to play. Plus, I was being given games by publishers for them, to be reviewed. And I just seemed to amass all these games, and I felt such a disservice when I couldn't get round to playing a game because there were too many other games that were there, or games that I wanted to play in priority to others, and then the people that you're playing with took priority on the games that they wanted to play because this is new. So it was a case of, okay, we'll play this game. So there was a time when I did feel more of a collector than a gamer, but I think it's swung around now. So I do feel more of a gamer because, as you saw from the good, the bad, the ugly section, I played a bucket load of old games, like, as I said, Takenoko. Oh, such a nice, sweet game. And I forgot to mention Catch the Moon as well, which is Bombay-based as well, where you're stacking ladders. It's just fun just to get out a game, not have to look at the rules, and just go, bam, let's play.
So how many games would you say are in your collection?
It's around about 300.
About 300.
Around about 300. It's hard to tell with BGG when you catalog it. It mixes up the expansions as well. So, but it's around about 300.
Yeah, I used to catalog, and it's been a long time since it's so out of date. Mine, I think I have close to 700 games. Excuse me, in my collection, and I have the exact same feelings. When we first started the show, we were reviewing more games and going to a lot of conventions. And so there was a lot of activity just around board gaming. As for me, as I got into the business side of the hobby with Game Toppers, my time started going away, which was I felt like I was just working all the time and not playing games, which that's the price that you pay when you start a company, oftentimes, especially if you have success. So there was way too many 14-hour days and 70+ hour weeks in my life. But then our game group, the dynamic started to change. My son got married. He moved away, or he's the same town, but not gaming as much with him. Both of my oldest daughters are married, and they live about an hour away. And we used to go up there on Wednesday nights and play games. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden the dynamic of all of that started changing. So for me, in this last 3-year period of time, I keep looking at all of these games on my shelf, and I look at them and I go, I love that game. I love that game, but I'm not playing that game, but I love that game. And then I look over at my shelf of shame, or as some would say, shelf of opportunity.
Yes.
And I go, Okay, I love that. That one I heard really good things about, but I don't know. The luster is kind of worn off, so to speak, because after it's been out for a while, it's not the new shiny thing that everybody's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, I don't know, have you ever had where you were really excited about getting it and then you start hearing some negativity about it and then you're like less excited about trying it?
No. No. No,
I have that problem because I have such limited time to play games. I don't want to waste my time on a bad experience.
Yeah, I kind of heard that about Batman, but at the end of the day, I'd played Conan and I knew that it was going to be good because I like the mechanics of the game. It's like that's probably an exception because it's a game which has the same mechanisms as a previous game. Yeah, I've never had that kind of the effect of other people rub off on me. People always hype up games like Terraforming Mars and Wingspan, and that doesn't egg me to play them, and it doesn't egg me to buy them. But when I do play them, it's just I can then approach them with that kind of mediocre kind of warmness to them, and either like them or not like them, or not understand what the hype was about.
I got to be honest. I get caught up in the hype, man.
Yeah.
When people are really hot on a game, like when I heard Lost Ruins of Arnak and Dune Imperium, and I heard about the mechanisms that are some of my favorites, and then found out how much fun people were with it, I got pretty jazzed about it. Now, Kabuki Kid saying, I'm with you, Berkey. Part of why I don't love playtesting games. I'd much rather use that time to play games that are completed and known to be good games. And yeah, so I have that. And sometimes when my favorite reviewers are on a game and they talk about it, because the reason they're my favorite reviewers generally is because they're talking about, they generally like a lot of the games that I might like. Or at least I will know what they're, I know Dan King is going to be he's going to be really big on social deduction type games and hidden movement. He loves that stuff. Well, I don't like that as much personally. So I can kind of take that as a grain of salt. So if he's hyping up a hidden movement game, I don't have to take that to heart as much. But if old Jamie Kagi gets on there and he's starting to talk about, man, I'm jumping out of my pants to play this game again. Well, I'm jumping out of my pants. I want to play that game. And I haven't even watched a review yet. So I got to say I'm guilty. And when I first got into this bigger hobby in a more bigly way, back in about 2000, or it was about 8 years ago, man, I was buying a lot of games. And then now I don't buy that many games. I support a lot of my friends in their Kickstarters.
Yeah.
But I hardly ever buy a new game anymore because I do have that pressure of guilt, if you will, like you're talking about. I need to play these games because we need to review them, or, I just want to be in the hobby and play all the new fun stuff.
Yeah. So we've talked about acquiring games, but the subject about how do we dispersal of how do we do a dispersal of the having too many, or
well, and that's why we talked about this like we have, is there's some topics that kind of go around the topic of culling games, and one of them is it hard for you to get rid of games? Is it, do you have, I know for me, I'd like to get everyone's ideas. Is it, if it's hard for you to get rid of your games? For me, I have some nostalgic games that I'm never getting rid of.
Yeah.
All of the Days of Wonder series that we would buy every Christmas for our family, Colosseum and Mystery of the Abbey and the Ticket to Rides and Memoir 44, Cargo Noir, Cleopatra, all of those games, man, I'm never getting rid of those games. The games that I played in high school, the great big Milton Bradley Axis and Allies and Shogun and Fortress America and Conquest of the Empire, and I'm never getting rid of those games.
Mhm.
So those
Yeah.
are hard for me to get over. But how is it for you to get rid of a game now?
It's something that I don't do very often anymore because the incoming tray is not so productive as the outgoing tray. So there's not really much going on the outgoing. Another benefit is that recently I got rid of the plastic folded table that was underneath my game topper and replaced it with some shelves. So I opened up on storage. So yeah. What was the question again?
Is it hard to get rid of games?
Yes, it can be. It has been in the past. A game that I wanted to get rid of a while ago was Hero Quest, the original Hero Quest, because I found the game is not going to be a game that I'm going to play because it's broken, so to speak. There's a way to break the game and make it not fun. And so I kept hold of it because I was going to review it because I knew that there is going to be a video which will get lots of clicks and likes, but I never got round to reviewing it. So I could have sold it and I could have laid like €1,000 on it because it was a game which was, people were buying for extortionate amounts of money, but I never did. And now there's the new reprint out. So I'm never going to get that money from it. So it doesn't matter. So it's just going to sit there until I maybe hand it down to Robin when he grows up and becomes 8. And maybe it's a game that he will like playing. But I don't really have a hard time getting rid of a game. If I know that the game is not interesting or it has broken mechanics or it's outdated or it's a simple case of just getting rid of it.
Well, and that's a good point that leads us into a couple more topics. But one is, how do we cull our games? Do we cull them because we have other newer games that have similar mechanisms that are better? And we don't need a duplicate, or when games oftentimes get rethemed, that perhaps you have a game that you like this theme better than the other theme, something like that. Like, for instance, there's the game Wallenstein from Queen Games, and I love Wallenstein, but then they came out with Shogun. Queen Games did, and it has more the Asian samurai feel to it. And I actually like that theme better than the Wallenstein theme. Well, I don't need both games. They're the same game. They're just reskinned, so to speak. So, but I do like both of them. So do you keep them and they just sit on the shelf? If you're not playing them, you're just collecting them.
Yeah, that's very true. Again, it all, I think a lot of people, it depends. I mean, there are people like Rob who's saying that he's 100% collector. When I can't, it allows me to gift great games to others, which is nice. Yeah. But it all depends. I mean, for me, example of replacement is Conan went out as Batman came in.
Okay.
Kemet first edition went out, is on the shelf to go out while I've got the new Kickstarter version of Kemet there. But that's it. I mean, if there's games with similar mechanics but different themes, sometimes it's good to keep hold of them because there might be a theme which appeals to one player and not to another. And I think that's kind of like the Monopoly market at the moment. It's like, we're going to make Monopoly until there's no more IPs left in the world.
So do you decide? How do you decide to get rid of a game? Is it whether it's played or not? Is it because of similar mechanisms, or because you got a new version, or that you can only have so many games in your home?
It's a mix of all of those. I think it's, there are games which you just don't play and you don't enjoy playing. And even after the third not enjoyable play, that this game needs to go on to your shelf of sale or your shelf of charity.
There you go. I like
There you
that.
go.
Shelf of charity.
So I don't have a shelf of shame. I have a shelf of, well, there's a section here underneath my game topper of games which need to be sold or passed on. So I normally say when someone comes around, is there anything there that you want to take? Take. Anything which is left there, I go to the local store and we do a sale. So
yeah, I think that's we're going to talk about what are some ways to cull your collection.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped ahead there.
But I was having the same feelings. Like, okay, I've got some games that are duplicate. I don't need both of them. I'm starting to run out of space in my game room where I want things stored nicely. Some of the games are like, I'm just not going to play that game anymore. My game group doesn't care for it, or I might, So I've kept games sometimes because of, for different reasons. Well, I used to have a lot of 2-player games that like just Josiah and I would play.
Yeah.
Well, as he grew up and as he moved on, I don't really have anybody to play those with very often. So while there may be good games, somebody else might be able to enjoy them. So what are some ways for us to cull our collection? One of the things that you can do, and it's already been mentioned in the chat, is that you can give them away.
Yeah.
I'm doing some of that here with our holiday giveaway that we're going to be talking about. Rob says he's even given away shrink wrap games. And I think that's a fantastic way. During Christmas, a lot of times when the game group comes over, I'll have a whole stack of games sitting in my area that I'm getting rid of these games and say, pick out a couple games and Merry Christmas. And it gives an opportunity to help other people get some games that maybe they wouldn't get otherwise and that kind of thing. And there's so many ways to give these away. You can donate them to charity. I love doing this during the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund auction that they do every year, because the funds that are raised from these games go to gamers that are in need. And I really highly support that and think that's a really great opportunity. Been able to gift sometimes to your local Goodwill or Salvation Army stores and things of that nature where you can gift it. I know of some people that in the hobby that actually get games and then give to the needy. Sometimes young families, things of that nature. And so that's a way that if you know of people that are doing that, you can help and give to them. Another thing that you can do, like one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm actually selling some of my overstock games and I'm collecting that money. So that's helping me do some charity work that I'm actually doing with this whole Santa gig this Christmas to go help people in our local community. And that's where I'm taking a big wad of money and going and figure out how to find the people that are in need that we can give these to, They wouldn't necessarily want a board game, but they need some help with their grocery bill. Or we have some organizations in town that help women's shelters called Someplace Safe. And we have a halfway house and a couple different things like that I love to help out with. And so that's one way of selling these games to get money to give is another thought too. But there's nothing wrong with selling your games and acquiring different games. That's up to each person.
Yeah.
Ron Shady said he's sold them to a buddy who owns a game store.
Yeah. Don says he wish he didn't sell his Mystery of the Abbey, but it wasn't getting played. Oh, we've only played ours once. We've had it for like 5 years. We played it once, and my daughter didn't read the cards properly, and so we thought the murderer was someone, but it wasn't because she had that card. So it was like, we'll play it again one day. Now she's older. She understands the rules. Kabuki. Give some away.
Give some away. Kind heart.
Yeah. It'd be nice to know what you do. I'll probably set up a poll with this podcast on the Board Game Geek Guild 2248.
Oh, that'd be a great poll.
Yeah, that'd be the great poll. What's the best thing to do? Give them away, sell them. I know that my good friend Guillaume, he's always giving me games. So my shelves have been filled up with games which I haven't played, which I know nothing about. He gave me, do you remember after PAX, was it 2019, we played that fishing game.
Oh,
He's
Cold
gi-
Water Crown.
Yeah, he gave me, because I posted a picture of it, he sent me his copy of freshwater fish thing game.
Oh, I love that. Freshwater Fly.
Yeah, I still haven't played it. It's on my shelf and underneath code names, which means that whenever I pick up code names, which is quite regular, maybe one day I'll pick that up and play that. So yeah.
Oh, you have to play that. That's a fun game.
Yeah, really.
You know, one thing that you can do with culling your collection too, and maybe this isn't in the strictest sense the word cull. Cull is like you're getting rid of, but a lot of people trade games. And sometimes you can trade 2 for 1. So it could be a culling. You know, you could trade 2 games for 1 game that you maybe wanted, or maybe 4 games for 1 game that you wanted. I've done this at BGG Con before. I haven't done it recently, but we did the math trades.
Yeah,
which was kind of interesting. You know, I had a whole bunch of games that I was ready to get rid of, and there was a few that I wanted. And there's kind of this complicated computer formula that they do, that they hook you up with people that have different things. And then you pick up those games at the convention. In this situation, I know a lot of local area places, they will do math trades, and that's an interesting thing to do. The other thing to do is, if you're wanting to sell your games, a couple opportunities that you might have is check out the board game groups on Facebook. There's a lot of them. The board game group has its buy, trade, and sell group that has a lot of activity, and people will sometimes just take a picture of a whole bunch of games and say, these are the prices or best offer, all of that. You know, usually those transactions aren't incredibly secure or anything like that. It may go well. I've never had a problem with that, but I know people that sometimes you deal with other people that might not be reputable, so you got to kind of make sure you're dealing with the right people if possible, and that you're getting what they're selling and that it's in good shape. But Board Game Revolution, the Board Game Spotlight, there's several of these board game groups that have these sell groups that you can do that. You can list these games on BGG. There's a whole marketplace on Board Game Geek, and they take a little bit of a cut, but you get a big audience that you can go to. Speaking of conventions, sometimes they will have these huge swap meets where you can just they've got this room, and that, you know, from 2 to 4 o'clock, it's the BGG swap meet, and everybody's there with all their games, and they got their prices on it, and you go in there. And it's
games. All right, I thought it was like it's a leg of lamb. I'll swap it for a joint of beef.
Yeah, well, I do that. I'll take a leg of lamb. What game do you want? And then, of course, you've got online opportunities with some of your Amazon Marketplace things, Facebook Marketplace. You have eBay. I've sold a lot of games on eBay before. So there's a lot of opportunities to sell games and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is your favorite way to get rid of a game?
Give it. Basically, just give it to someone. Unfortunately, you do get left. The typical kind of thing which happens is you do get left with some of the smaller games which, you know, flew under the radar and nobody liked and whatever, and they're hard to get rid of. So the only way to do that is to sell that to someone that desperately wants that game. But yeah, even the bad games you can't get rid of sometimes. So yeah, give it away. And as I said, it swings and roundabouts. You'll have people that give you games, and it'll be like, wow, this is nice of you. I don't know what this is. It could be good, it could be bad, but that's the fun thing about games is try it. You might like it, you might not like it. It might be better than something you've already played. It might be the same as something you've already played, or it might be worse than something that you've already played. That's the thing. I mean, I've still got a collection of Asterix games here. Now, this Asterix collection of games is all your typical Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit, Twister, but they all come in these boxes which look like the Asterix books, and they're all themed on the book. So that's something I'm never going to get rid of and probably never going to play. Although there are some games there which I will play because I don't have them, like Corridor Kid or Quattro. Those are good games. And I don't have them in any normal format, but I've got them in the Asterix format. But it's a collection, so it's like 30 board games, even dominoes, because I don't own any dominoes anymore, but we played Asterix dominoes. So there you go. But I think every person's collection is personal to them, and how they call that is always a hard thing. It's, you're getting rid of a baby or something which looks nice on your shelf. That's the worst thing. It's like, there's a game that I need to get rid of.
They fit right there.
It fits perfectly, and it's in with all the other Fun Forge games. And if I remove it, there's going to be a hole, and I'll have to put something in that hole, which will not be a Fun Forge game. So it won't be a Fun Forge shelf. That's really ridiculous, I know, but
yeah, we do that though. That's
we
true.
do that. It's stupid. Any normal person would go, get rid of it. It's crap. That T-shirt doesn't fit you anymore. It's a bit too tight. Yes, get rid of it. No, but it's Homer Simpson and it's Christmas. I'm keeping it.
I don't know if the acquisition disorder or the hoarding mentality. If you have a disposition towards that or addictive personality, man, board gaming can really wreck you.
Yes. Again, I have friends who have to get rid of games and stop buying games because they have no house left. Which is funny, but at the same time, really is sad. My friends are, they have to move out of their house. They've moved into a smaller accommodation. They can't accommodate all the board games that they own. And so they have to, one, stop buying games, and two, get rid of games so they have somewhere to sit in their house.
I've had people come over to our home, and our game room is, it's elaborate compared to some, and it's very modest compared to some. When you see people show off their game rooms, I mean, I know people that have game collections of 5,000 games.
Yeah.
Which it pales, my little collection. I mean, my collection is nothing compared to that. And yet for some folks, they go, oh boy, you got a problem. And
the good thing is all your collection's in one room, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
now it is.
It's not in there.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it now too, that at certain point now, especially as gaming changes a little bit for me as far as gaming group and style of gaming and that kind of thing, there's some games that I just know that I'm not going to get back to. I had this discussion with Josiah about my Lord of the Rings and Battle of the Five Armies.
All right.
I love those two games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have an opportunity to play them very often. And I really like the game Stronghold from Portal, the second edition, a tower defense type of game.
Yeah.
And I really like that, but I just don't get any opportunity to play it. And I was very close to letting go of one of the Lord of the Rings and that Stronghold. And then I decided not to.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably get an opportunity. Josiah will come over and we'll have a Saturday and let's play War of the Rings.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who has to make cuts in their board game collection?
I would take a look at, that's a great question. I think take a look at the games that you have that have similar mechanisms, games that you like and you're going to play, but the other one is basically the same thing and you're not playing, weigh the two out, whether you really need that extra one. And I would take a look at some of the games that are on your shelf that you just don't really feel you're going to play. And maybe some other people who really love that game that you can give it to them. And then who knows, you might have another opportunity to play it again with them because they really like that game. There's sometimes I've got a bunch of games that I've just given to people because, I really like the game, but I know you'll like it better than I will, or you'll get more use out of it. And I've got enough games, man. I mean, I might have 50 games that like I cherish, but I honestly don't cherish all this stuff. It's just stuff.
Yeah.
There's games that I really like and I would hate to lose them. They have sentimental value or different things of that nature. But overall, it's just stuff, and this stuff is all going to fleet away. So that what really matters, I think, is the relationships that we develop with people, and gaming can be a catalyst to help develop relationships. But giving can be a catalyst to help develop relationships and help other people. And I really do like the adage that it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers style, Kabuki Kid.
Give it away.
Give it away. Give it away. Give it away now.
Jesse's in the house, and he says, "I want to play Lord of the Rings." See, Jesse and I, we could sit down and play a 2-player game of War of the Rings.
Yeah. It's just basically just think what you're going to be able to play. I mean, I'm like you. I would say there's 50 games that I will cherish forever and will hopefully always play. And they will never leave my collection because I will always want to play them. There are the other games, which are the wife's games that she likes, which I can't get rid of. That'd be an easy call. That would buy us all. But
well, and I find it too. It's if you've got a game that with Kickstarter now, sometimes you get these games and they're $250 games. Well, it's not. It just depends. I've given away very expensive games before like that, but generally I can do better good by selling a game like that or something like. It's like. Yeah. I understand why people would want to sell, so I don't fault anybody for selling if they've got a big investment. Or I know other people that sometimes they're having difficulties. They have medical expenses and they need to make decisions to sell. So I don't have a judgment against people that sell. I don't like it when people sell games at super premium scalping prices. That drives me nuts.
Yeah. I think that was one of the things that held me back from selling Hero Quest is like, how seriously, someone wants to buy this for €1,000. It's like, why? But that's the world we live in. I got red fluff on my head.
I like it. Well, I think we've kind of talked about all the different things about culling. Honestly, I think if you're starting to stress out about the amount that you have, or your family members are stressing out, it's good to move them on. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. If you've got the space and you enjoy collecting, I don't think there's anything wrong with collecting either. Just everything has its place and has its balance in our lives and in our families. So that's my take on it.
The question I'm going to ask you after Christmas is, how many packages underneath your Christmas tree were board game shaped?
I bet you there won't be any.
That's strange that
won't be any, because I haven't been buying games much at all.
Yeah, there's nothing on my wish list much anyway. So apart from a few expansions, but
yeah, I would like to get the expansion to the Lost Ruins of Arnak. Yeah, I hear that's good, and I would like to get that. But yeah, nothing's too on the top burner for me.
Yeah. So there you
go. Let's go through our contest one more time just to close up the show. We've got this fun Christmas holiday giveaway that we come up with. And from our sponsor, Arcane Wonders, we have the game Four Gardens. This is brand new in shrink. We also have the game Volcanic Isle, and we have Dragon Scales, the Richard Launius game. All three of these brand new. We're going to give those away to 3 lucky winners. We also have 4 games from Indie Cards and Boards and Cards. We have the Among Thieves, the Conflicting Legends, Shogunate, and Finger Gun at High Noon. And we have a $100 gift certificate from Game Toppers. You can get one of those cool new thematic game mats, or you can get some accessories.
So how can you win this? How can you win one of these free giveaway thingies?
I don't know. How do you do it?
Okay. All right.
Oh,
that's what that's been scrolling at the bottom for.
Oh, that's what that's for.
Yeah.
So you can email Berkey at GameToppersLLC.com. That's BURKY at GameToppersLLC.com, and put contest in the subject line. And then we would need your name, your address that we would be able to mail the game to, and what you like about the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show, because we very much need all of your encouragement. And I can't say that enough. No. It's fun to hear from our fans. I got to tell you that. I know we're not a big podcast. We don't market this very well. We don't really do a lot of that. We just share it on our Twitter channels and stuff. But we've just loved getting together, Barry and I, and just being silly and talking about board games. And our hope is that people will enjoy it and that we somehow bring a little bit of light and joy into people's hearts.
Yeah, and a different opinion about board games. So you're not always listening to Tom Vassell and Rado and Joel Eddy and
those guys.
Yeah, those guys. We're the unprofessionals.
The unprofessionals. Well, with that, you can email us, get a chance. We're going to put everybody that emails me their name in a hat, and they're going to get one of these 8 different gift items. So we got 8 chances to win. So there you go. We're going to allow this to go through the end of the year, and then we'll draw those names and we'll ship those out the first part of January.
Yay. Cool stuff. Good luck. Thanks for watching. And Barry, send us
Merry
out.
Christmas!
Oh. Have a festive time. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the new year. Have a good one.
We're so glad we had this time together. And now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Berkey and Badger will be back in no time.